was recognized for being gifted, people would think I was weird. I was like genetically modified. Why are you talking like this to me? You're a kid. You're 9 years old. But actually, that's basically how I normally act.
Being labeled gifted, where we're reading a book in class, is called geeks. They don't mind being called geeks. They actually joined, I think it was a geek club, and they are the new generation, using computers, using the internet.
That means because I'm gifted, I have to work harder than the average person and achieve more.
I have to go into a good junior high in order to go into a good senior high, in order to go to a good university. You have to be good all the way.
A lot of parents would be accused of being pushy parents, of over-teaching their children, of flashcarding them, of hothousing them. Can't you let your kid just be a kid?
What's the best part of your day?
The best part of my day is going to sleep.
Three years ago, when he was in grade 4, my son Jiten was identified as gifted, then transferred into a special class for gifted children. This fall, he was accepted into a radically accelerated high school program within the University of British Columbia. 2 years from now, at age 14, Jiten will be expected to graduate high school and begin studying for his bachelor's degree. It's a fast train that I never expected to arrive in my life, but I'm fully aware that today's educational world gets more competitive every year, so there's an obvious advantage to this sort of acceleration. Still, I can't help wondering if Jiten's childhood is ending before it should, if he needs more time to just be a kid. This is the first stop on the fast train, where Jiten and I were a year ago. The UBC transition program compresses the regular 5 years of high school into just 2. And most of the kids who, like Jiten, were identified as gifted in elementary school will consider it. The opportunity is open to every child in the province, but just 20 will be accepted.
Hi, my name is Jill Philipchuk, and you are at the VSB UBC Ministry of Education Transition Program Information Evening.
We're looking at what they already know and not reteaching that and having them just go through the whole curriculum. We're really focusing on what do those students need to learn.
So it's very important to think about what do you really want to do with your life, and do you really want to undertake an immense challenge, a path that will be different from most of the students you will know, and will get you to a place where you can be making decisions about your life sooner. Are you ready for that? Does that intrigue you? Do your eyes start to sparkle when you think about that kind of an opportunity?
Transition means that I can go into university earlier. That way I have more time to work on my goal to becoming a lawyer, because I heard from other people that becoming a lawyer, or I want to be a corporate lawyer, so it takes a lot of studying, and some people have to be 40 until they actually become a lawyer because they started university at the same time as everybody did. So if I'm a bit earlier, then I have an advantage and I can start raising my family and stuff earlier.
I like the idea of accelerated learning, and and I'm learning from my friend Jiten, you know him, and he's in the transition and he's telling me about it.
I might go for it, but I have to think over it a little bit more.
Will you write the exam?
I already wrote the exam.
I think probably Michael have a good chance to get in because he has a very strong inclination for math, and his English is sort of maybe needs some work. I learned about this program about 3 years ago, and when I first learned about it, I already take note of that, saying, okay, maybe this is something that Michael can try when he reached the right age. So I already had that in mind a long time ago.
Is it justifiable?
It's not justifiable. It's too small an issue to cause the war of 1812.
For those who do gain acceptance into the transition program, it's an opportunity that's very hard to say no to. Once you've decided to get on board, it's also a train that's very hard to step off.
It's an early entrance to university program for academically gifted students. The idea is that they will come in after grade 7, grade 8, or grade 9, and after 2 years, they'll be ready to go into their first year of university.
There has been tremendous controversy. I mean, school systems tend to just completely shy away from it because they do see it as pushing and speeding. I think that if we recast the term as more of a developmental match, we're saying that, if you're capable of doing math 4 years ahead of your age, then that's where you should be working.
Sometimes it's too accelerated. 2 years is a bit much. I mean, we are skipping a lot. Sometimes I like just being in university at age 15 just freaks me out. It's scary.
Are you planning to go to UBC when you're 15?
Do I have a choice? I don't know. I guess that's sort of what's expected. I'm not all that keen about it, but everybody else does it, so I guess I should. That's what the plan is for me, so.
Osman Ali is a graduate of the transition program, now attending the university. He completed the program, but only because his parents insisted on it.
I wanted to drop out of the program completely, severely desired to drop out the program, intensely, acutely. My desire was to go into a regular grade 11 class. Even though I was a year, 2 years younger than the individuals, I still wanted to have that level of social comfort, that level of social association with peers, that I could grow up and graduate with a group of people that I had spent a year with who were regular, and I could get over that stigma before I went to university. I think for me, if you're going to be gifted, it's about not being mechanized. It's about being able to see the associations, the disparities that other people don't notice. And just being able to think about society in a way that's slightly off the regular norm. If you're just going to mechanize people and throw them into university and have them go through the system and have them get out 3 years earlier, you're just getting somebody who got a job 3 years before somebody else. And nobody can tell me that's being gifted.
Here's the first real hurdle for those competing for a place within the transition program. A day-long series of exams designed to indicate which applicants are capable of facing the rigors of a radically accelerated program.
No talking, please. Okay, stop. It's over there on the table. Have you finished? Did you make this? Okay, yeah.
And if you want extra money.
Yep.
Are you going to your watch?
Okay, I asked for a pile over there on the
I
table.
think I did okay. Well, I did actually better than I expected I would, because last year I took it too, and I didn't do quite well.
And what are you doing?
We were launching a small bottle rocket.
Chiten and Mendel became friends when they were both in the same gifted ed elementary class. Mendel was identified as gifted even earlier than Chiten.
Someone told my mom, and she told me, and I just realized that I've never been in a normal class in my life.
The minute he was born, the nurse said, "Oh my God, he's holding his head up." And he was like wanting to take on the world.
I got it when I did a project on magnetic levitation, or maglev. If you're going to make a levitator, it's best to use 2 magnets instead of 6. So simplicity is the key for levitation.
A gifted learner is one whose development is beyond what one would be expecting for a child of a similar age. in specific areas. There are 6 areas of giftedness currently that we look at, although there are more that are evolving. In our school districts, we generally refer to the top 2. Intellectual cognitive abilities, so that's IQ measure, cognitive skills, the ability to use language. The second one is specific academic aptitude. A child who may be naturally accelerated in math or in reading.
Me and Jiten started a language. It's called Tosta. I've been doing a little on it. We took gibberish words we found in word searches, like not the actual words. We just put together letters and found these funny spelling words. And we're working on the civilization and the history, the phonetic laws, the words themselves. I think it's tricky to invent symbols, like actual lettering symbols, because you don't want them to be too complicated or else they're hard to write. But all the simple ones are taken. That's what bugs me.
Often the gifted child isn't the child that people think is the gifted child. You know, it's not the child that wants to sit at the front of the class and has their hand up for every question and has every assignment handed in on time that is the straight A student. That's who people sometimes would like to identify as gifted students. In fact, often the gifted student is the child who's at the back of the room and not paying attention because they don't need to go through the information 5 times to learn it.
Although Mendel's applied to transition school, I have no interest in pushing his academic development at the cost of his artistic and cultural development, his psychological and spiritual and psychic development, his physical development. You know, I would like him to have a cohort of peers that he moves through his life with.
Lynn's concerns about accelerated education have prompted her to consider alternatives to the transition program.
All right, okay. And don't forget to breathe. Huh?
St. George's is an elite private school where acceptance is also difficult to gain. I'm told that only 1 in 4 applicants is successful.
So Mendel, this is our dining hall, and this is called McLean Hall. And this is where the students eat lunch.
Partly trophy hall.
That's right. Those are some of the trophies that the students have won in different athletic endeavors and academic endeavors. Mendel, I'd like to introduce you to somebody. This is Mr. Wilkie.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Mendel.
And Mr. Wilkie teaches computers. He teaches computer animation, and he also teaches claymation. So he's going to talk to you a little bit about our computer program, and so if you have any questions, then you ask them to Mr. Wilkie. Okay?
How long have you been teaching here first?
I've been teaching here for about 3 years.
Oh, so you wouldn't know if any of your students went to work at Oddworld Inhabitants, game designers?
No, not yet, no.
Dang.
I had one of my students last year. He just went to Ryerson to study film. But other than that, no, not yet.
Mendel, how do you feel about the idea of coming to St. George's?
I'd say I'm very impressed by St. George's Senior when I toured it.
What do you think is going to be the next major revolution in the world?
I'd see, I can't say digital teleporting. Digital teleporting strikes me as impossible, but I see reality warping, like not almost teleporting, like pinching space-time.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of that. It strikes me as science fiction, but also could be possible.
What do you mean by that?
If you have an ant walking across a string, it'll take it a long time to get across.
Right, so
but
bring
if
it
you
together.
fold the string together, it just hops across. And so to anyone looking at the ant hopping across the 2 distance points in space, it would seem like the ant is just stepping and looking perfectly normal while they step off into the sunset.
Brian Wong also excelled early as a student. It's meant that his mother, Sibel, like most parents of gifted kids, has felt added pressure to ensure that Brian meets his potential.
What's for dinner tonight, Brian?
Pizza.
Pizza.
What did you guys do when I'm not home? What did you do, Jason? Brian?
Homework. I was studying for my social test and I was finishing off my music theory thing.
Okay. Did you do your other things that according to your schedule?
I already finished all of it.
Is it?
Yeah.
You finished your social project too?
No, but I did some research on the countries.
Did you? Oh, okay.
We have family meetings sometimes, and Mom explains to us that when we grow up, our schedules will be just as hectic, and if we're not used to it, we might give up something or make a drastic move that will prove bad to us in the future. So, since we've been doing this test schedule for a long time, I don't really think it's that hectic, and as long as I survive, I'm fine.
Vancouver school is not geared for kids to learn a lot of things. It's like too slow. They only learn tiny little thing in the lower grade, so it's like they have tons of time to do everything else. So I exposed them to lots of things. So they had all activities every day after school. I was working full-time. I worked afternoon. I had him babysitter. And I cried so hard because I remember that every time I go pick him up, what did he do all day? Watch TV, have snacks, sleep. So it's sort of a waste of his time. So I decided to work night shift. So I can take him to the library to read a book. I could read him a book. Like I could take him every activities and then cut short of my sleeping hours is no big deal.
This concurs directly with the letter. She sends him on purpose, that I may appear stubborn to him.
For 7 years now, on Saturday mornings, after 3 hours of Chinese language lessons, Sibel has driven Brian across town for lessons in public speaking.
Surly with servants, let thy tongue tang with arguments of state.
This helped me learn how to speak in front of people without getting nervous.
Brian is already in grade 8, 3 years ahead of his age peers. So the idea of attending university alongside adults doesn't seem to intimidate him in the least.
They're not gonna care how short I am. They're not gonna care how weak I am. We're only gonna share ideas, share knowledge. We're not gonna talk about beer and stuff when we're in class. We're not gonna talk about other miscellaneous topics, right? We're gonna concentrate on school, education, following our goals.
Brian's childhood may effectively end at age 13 when he begins university. But it seems to me that gifted kids simply epitomize another way in which most children these days may be losing their childhoods: the lack of unsupervised play. And I'm as guilty of this as anyone. This is my daughter at one of 3 music lessons she has every week. She also attends extra classes in math, 2 martial arts sessions each week, and goes indoor climbing as often as she can.
It's an organized life, though, that they participate in, that's for sure. Far more organized than my life ever was. Structured, scheduled.
I've heard it said that unsupervised play may be the single most creative activity a child can engage in. This is a huge change in childhood in the course of a single generation. But again, it's a trend that's very hard to resist.
Once it starts, it's of course very infectious. Are you, if your neighbor's doing this with their kid, are you going to not with yours and put your kid at a disadvantage? All kinds of parents are way more involved in their children's education, and not just in a sort of advocacy role. I mean, involved.
Michael Lin is a prime example of a gifted child with a heavily scheduled life. He's been involved in as many as 12 added activities in a single week.
In a way that you're happy that your kid is, able to do a lot of things in school, and he, is definitely an achiever. No problem about that. But on the other hand, that you also have to say, am I placing him at the right level? Is this the right thing to do? And can you do more, or are we asking him to do too much? So that's why we keep pushing him along the way. well, he always needs to push a little bit somehow, I guess, along the way. And I think so far so good. I think we do an okay job.
We first met Michael when we carpooled with his family during Jatin's first year in the gifted ed class.
So what we got to do is here, so we got
The carpooling ended when Michael's father, Jack, transferred him out of Jatin's class and into another program. Michael's now been in 8 different schools in the last 7 years.
Ever since we were a kid, we move in around schools quite often. Well, for example, like starting in kindergarten, right? He's in the University Hill, but that school is under construction. It's a construction site, in itself, so I don't feel like it. So we move into Queen Elizabeth.
And then transferred to a French immersion school called Jules Canal. And then
I switch him again to Trafalgar.
And for grade 2, I moved to French immersion Catholic private school.
And then the grade 3 year is okay, but there are 2 teachers in that room, and they're just alternating. And I don't know why. I just don't like this idea of job sharing. I'm sorry.
In grade 4, I moved to the MAC program in Tecumseh.
And then because of some problem, we moved to Osler School. And now some problem in Osler School, we move into Ideal Mini School, going to secondary, jumping a grade. So, but along the way, he's been sort of like adapting to the environment very well.
To his mother's dismay, Mendel's been called in by the transition program for more testing. This comes in addition to the earlier day-long series of exams.
Write a good sentence that tells what is happening in the picture.
To be defined as gifted, a child like Mendel is expected to score in the top 2% on a range of standardized tests.
He's applied for our transition program. So what I'm doing is checking to see what his academic achievement is currently. We're talking IQ tests, we're talking achievement tests, and we're talking tests that look at what we sometimes refer to as the cognitive processes, such as language, writing, spelling, memory.
He's in the 99.9th percentile for language and math. He also has some very significant gaps.
I had trouble writing. It's almost like a writer's block on a 500-word essay. It's gets a little annoying.
Mendel has expressed an interest in visual arts, so his mother has chosen to look at the Lord Byng Fine Arts program as another possible high school for Mendel. But every year, the competition to gain entry here also gets more intense. One of Mendel's competitors for the Lord Byng program is Roz Gorey, another gifted kid from the program Jatin attended. I can't help asking her if she's applied to the transition program.
I have nothing against transition. I'm just not interested in that kind of high school situation. I feel like high school is not only about the academics as well. It's also about, being in high school, being a high school student, doing the things that high school kids do.
Roz goes on to say that she's applying to only the Lord Byng program, while Mendel is taking the opposite approach.
I'm actually thinking of applying to everywhere that I'm going to the orientation nights. U-Hill Transition, U-Hill, St. George's, Byng Regular. Well, I don't really need to apply for that, but and Byng Fine Arts.
Yeah, and I'm glad we started last year, because I can tell you, if I had to start now doing what we've done since last year, I would be overwhelmed, confused, and really probably frozen with fear around the kinds of decisions that we're having to make and sorting through what's important and what isn't.
Every applicant to the transition program is asked to put together a portfolio demonstrating their past work and achievements. In going through his past work, Brian has found a letter he wrote to the principal of his first elementary school before he was identified as gifted.
He came home every day saying he's being bullied, and I said, well, why don't you write it down and give it to the teacher?
Okay, the first thing I hear when I get into classroom is bad news. Brian, your desk is moved beside girl and start making fun of time. And they start making fun of me. At recess, I try to stay away from them, but they keep on following me to bully me, etc. They call me Buttzilla. They call me slow fighter. They hit me, chase after me, and don't let me play soccer because they said I'm dumb at it.
When students aren't identified, I think a lot of things happen inside of them. They go into themselves to try and figure out what must be the matter with me.
One of the challenges that these kids will face, particularly when they go to high school, is that in some high schools it is not cool to be highly intelligent.
There's an assumption that it's elitist to deal with gifted kids, when in fact, if you really understand them, they are a very needy group that has needs that are invisible.
They have to understand when they get to high school, they may well get teased for it. But hopefully they won't go underground, because some students do that.
My feelings. Sometimes I have been something and rarely happy. I throw a temper tantrum if I can't handle it and nobody's there to help me. All this is 1999, but I feel really happy right now. I'm no problems whatsoever.
Michael's written a cover letter to go with his portfolio.
My name is Michael and I'm 13. I collect coins and stamps. I read Time magazine, the Vancouver Sun, and Discovery magazine. I speak English, French, and Mandarin. I heard that the transition program is very accelerated. It crowns 5 years of high school into 2 years. I think this acceleration is good enough for me. I believe that there should be enough challenge for me. This is the report of my project on genetically modified foods.
This is my CV of relevant courses and private lessons. Ukrainian folk dancing.
This is, I think, is the greatest pencil drawing I've done.
This is my essay on change.
Personal interests in humor, film, animation, cartooning, inventing, science, and design.
Yeah. This is just like
over the years that you did all the track and field.
It's the response to Pierre Trudeau.
Violin from 1994 to current.
I designed this with a computer program, so yeah. It's one of my first works,
This is a little autobiography of myself, changes my life.
Dear Sir, Madam, I'm writing this letter to recommend the acceptance of my son, Michael Lin, into the transition program commencing September 2003. Out of Michael's many capabilities, the breadth and depth of his flexibility impressed me most. For example, Michael moved 8 different schools thus far. Another example, I have enrolled him in numerous extracurricular activities since he was 4. At a time, I counted that there were on the average 12 activities a week. Michael still has 6 regular activities per week at this time. My personal view is that Michael is a very strong candidate for your transition program. I recommend him without any reservation. Jack Lin.
Mendel has a long day ahead of him, since he's chosen to audition for all 3 disciplines offered at Lord Byng: music, drama, and visual arts.
I'm actually a little bit nervous about going in. Hold on.
What are you going to play?
The Allegro by Fiocco. And
Okay.
if you want anything else, I have the Swallowtail prepared, so.
Let's start with the Fiocco.
I know for sure that this is a pine cone. I know that this is a piece of wood. I know this is a sign. I know that I don't know what that is. Hence the question mark.
In the town I grew up in, there was only one high school. No alternatives, no debate. When Jiten and I were looking for the right high school, the alternatives numbered more than 20.
I mean, I was constantly working for doing interviews, doing auditions, putting together portfolios, and I mean, it took a lot of my time. I mean, I was always waiting, will I get into this? Will I get into that? And it was just a very sort of uncomfortable feeling.
Only a select few have been chosen to be interviewed for a place within the transition program. Michael, Brian, and Mendel have all made that cut.
Okay, so Betty will be in the interview as well. It's so funny that, things come down to the last 20 minutes of interview, isn't it? It's funny that Betty is in the interviewing process. She should be excused herself because of the conflict of interest.
You think?
I think so, because she was the Mac teacher. And she actually taught Michael for the last 3 years. I don't think it's to Michael's advantage to have her in there. So what do you think about the transition program then? Why do you think that program fits you?
Because it's, mainly because it's very accelerated.
Right.
I think I can keep up with them well enough. And I can always adapt if I have to.
You know what kind of student they're looking for? They're looking for a student who can be, let's put it this way, autonomous learner, right? Working on their own and things like that. Then do you think you would fit into that kind of profile?
Yes, I can work on my own.
Work on your own, but not just work on your own. You also have to have the drive to like to learn more on your own as well. And they could throw any kind of question at you. So that's why I asked you to prepare for this kind of question or something similar to this. They might even throw in something else too, right? For example, like we never touch on the fact that you're actually quite humorous, right? You like to joke around a little bit or something like that. Well, you can also talk about those more playful side of you as well if you want. If they say, could you tell us a little bit about yourself? What are you going to tell them?
I like to, I'm humorous.
You have to speak louder, remember, right? And be, confident. You have to show the confidence in your voice as well. All right, so tell me about yourself.
Well, I am humorous and I enjoy learning. I'm always seeking new knowledge.
Portfolio.
Hey, Brian made this picture. I gotta show you this. I'm actually quite proud of it. It's all his trophies and medals and stuff.
Yeah.
He wanted to show people.
Actually, there's more, but then you see, it didn't fit on a table, so I had to.
That's all right.
So how was it?
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye,
Bye,
Jeff.
Betty.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So how was it? Fine? How come you always say fine? Elaborate. What is fine?
I did so much studying before the kids were born. And then my husband talked me into having them. And I quit. I sort of give up the idea of going to take my master because I applied for master. I got accepted, but then I was pregnant. I found out I was pregnant. I thought, oh, forget that. That was the end of my ambition, which is all right. Now I have two ambition, my two boys. Not really ambition, just to hope that they have a good life. That's it.
I thought we were coming out of this elevator.
So the assignment was to prepare a portfolio of our best work to bring to the interview.
Okay. So how'd you do on that?
Not very well.
Why not?
Procrastination.
Is this an indicator of your desire to be in this program?
Yeah, I can't say it's my top choice at all, really. But it's in my choices, so I should take it seriously, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's my subconscious. I really don't know.
How'd it go?
Oh, yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, it was really good. And they had good comments about me.
They had good comments about you?
Yeah.
What did they say about you?
They said that I was amazing because I had so much energy to do all of these activities.
I've never noticed that about you.
That's sarcasm, isn't it?
It is.
Hi, Lynn. Do you want us? Sorry to keep you waiting. No, we just want Mando, please. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely. See ya.
Do you have a portfolio or anything? Did you bring with you?
No, I
Okay.
forgot it. Yeah.
Come on in.
That's mental, you know, that's him all the way. And I think what I'm having to learn is to support that, right? Like if that's, he will motivate himself around things he wants to do, and I'm hoping that eventually he'll motivate himself around the things that he set out to do, right? Or that he needs to do in order to succeed at what he's wanting to do in the bigger picture. But I think that's a process of maturation. That's not, I mean, when I look at what these 12-year-olds are doing, I just want to weep. Hi, kiddo. So how did it go?
It went well, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell me about it.
It was fun. They told me I could bring in a portfolio before Monday if I wanted to.
Are you coming into the elevator too? I'll hold the door if you want. No, you're going down separately. Goodbye. Ground, street, no, goodbye.
Every child is a gift to their parents. We all know that. I think that what parents need to know about this is that their role is to support their child's optimum development.
I mean, it's your child, right? I mean, you're influencing his future. It's all in your hand. What do you do? I mean, you either take it on or you can leave it. It's up to you too. You know, from myself, I mean, from my family background, my family have been very supportive. And that's why I'm very supportive of with Michael in terms of education and whatnot. And that's what I'm trying to do. Support him along the way wherever his aspiration might be. I'll be there.
You know, I would be very surprised if he didn't get into Bing Arts, and I would be also surprised if he doesn't get into St. George's, to be honest with you. I don't know why a school would not want to have mental.
Next message. Hello, this message is for Mendel Skulski. The Bing Arts faculty is pleased to offer you a wait list position for September 2003. Your deadline for acceptance to our offer is Monday, March 24th, 4 p.m. by telephone or 6 p.m. by email. We, as all other mini-schools, will notify the VSB of who is accepted first and wait list offers. Remember, you may not accept more than one first or wait list offer from any mini-school.
I mean, it's not easy to take that on camera, right? You need to talk to him. Yeah, no, he's upset. I think he really just thought he would get into visual arts.
During the morning of the official notification day, the transition program has phoned all the successful candidates. A letter is to follow.
Brian, I want to tell you though, just from talking to Daria, she phoned me this morning. She said fortunately that you were accepted Okay? So officially, Daria told me that you accepted, so don't worry about it. The letter will be there next week.
How do you feel about that, Brian?
I'm excited. Yeah.
Yeah?
And I think it was worth it because I worked really hard. I mean, I tried really hard to get into this program because I really wanted to. And I think it's a big step in my life.
Before our day began, we've already been told that only one of our 3 candidates will be receiving an acceptance letter. So with Brian's acceptance, we know that Michael has not been successful.
We were told from transition that only one of the subjects that we were following was going to get a letter today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. But my information is that the letter been sent out last night. So I guess we just have to wait and see. And the next week...
I think Daria was quite definitive, just that one person was getting a letter today.
Oh, okay. So that means that Michael is not then. But it's not a surprise anyway. Betty, acting as the coordinator from the UBC side, is attending in the interview as well, and she used to be Michael's teacher. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we know that she already have a adverse opinion about Michael earlier, and she may not change her opinion after all of this. And you're the one who's gonna work hard.
That fall, Michael enrolled in the Odyssey program of the David Thompson High School, where acceleration is offered in math and science.
Well, let's maybe do a little bit of biking after work. How about that? We need to go out more.
Dear Miss Worker, it gives me great pleasure to offer you your son Mendel a position in our grade 8 class as a day student beginning September 2003. Let me congratulate your son for not only being accepted at St. George's School, but for making a positive impression on us. Yay.
So what's the skinny?
I got in and I made a positive impression. Yay. I don't see a lot of work in my future. Not like labor work, not like paperwork work.
I would see myself sitting in my office, self-employed, being a lawyer.
We're planning to save into the university in the Eastern Canada. And I actually just going to get my CGA designation, so I might be looking for jobs in the Eastern Canada. So 2 years later, right, I mean, maybe, by the time I finish high school, I'll be there already. So we won't be empty nest. We're still around. I don't know whether that's good for him or not. I don't know, but we are planning to do that.
Oh, get a job, and then get married, have kids, retire.
A techie gamer. That's my future. Oh, no. Techie gamer by night, cartoonist by day. Oh, yes.
A year later, as my son begins his second year at the transition program, I still have mixed feelings about his situation. As it was when he began the program, however, Jiten has far fewer reservations.
I think that's kind of ridiculous to say that I've lost my childhood. I mean, I'm just having a different childhood. For me, acceleration is not so much something that I want to do as something that I have to do. And that's because I can't really go through high school just academically. It's too slow for me.
That answer causes me to remember how I, as a kid, thoroughly enjoyed grade 1, and how thoroughly bored I was by grade 12. And finally, a bit of a light goes on for me.
And that's why I was able to relax. I realized that, yes, that's not a great thing, that he might not be getting the quintessential classic high school experience with all those social aspects, but that's less of a loss than the one that is involved with being bored and disengaging from school. That's worse.
That's your opinion.
Well, that's when I was able to relax a little bit about you going into trans, and I quit worrying to the same extent.
It's this kind of weird parent-child relationship because he takes his problems, tries to fix them in me, really. And, I mean, he's done a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, you have a different set of problems.
But and then I get
success.
Yeah, and then I end up with the exact opposite problems. I probably am better off having this set of problems. I think mine are less problematic than yours.
I do too. So I'm okay now.